Welcome to the Health Revolution, the show that leads you to a life of vibrant well-being. In a world full of noisy health trends, we bring you clarity through a sea of fads. We reveal the science behind the strategies that truly work. We explore physical strength, emotional resilience, and mental mastery, the keys to an enriched life. See inspiring interviews with the champions who've conquered life's health challenges. Are you ready to unlock your potential to live with vitality and purpose? Then join the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison, health and fitness expert, speaker, and a mom who understands. Let's embark on this transformative quest together. If you want to change the game, it all starts now. Welcome, everybody. You are watching the Health Revolution, and we're excited that you're joining us today. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison. No matter which way you're tuning into us, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. We want to stay connected to you. Also, at the bottom of your screen, there is a tab for show episode notes. Please be mindful of that. There is some important information about today's episode. And we want to start off right off the bat by welcoming new viewers to our show. We're excited you're joining us today. And we also want to recognize returning viewers. We appreciate you seeing the value of our show, of how it means to elevate the physical strength, the emotional resilience, and the mental mastery of our lives so that we can lead that optimal life. And today we get a chance to connect with a guest who is bringing an amazing mission that she is sharing the message as far wide as you can imagine. She lost her son, and then she chose to change the world. Let's get into it. First, take a look at this. Meet Sharlene Lynch, a powerhouse in the mindset space and the visionary behind the Mind Shift movement. She's an international speaker, a spiritualist, and a seasoned coach with over 30 years in business, specializing in mindset and transformation. But what drives her isn't just professional, it's deeply personal. After losing her son to suicide, Sharlene made it her mission to bring mental wellness into the forefront and help others turn pain into purpose. Today, we will learn how healing begins with mindset and how one woman is changing the world by changing the conversation. Sharlene Lynch, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I am excited to be here and an opportunity to talk about my favorite subject, mind shift.
And I appreciate the conversation. I want to start right off the bat by asking, who was Sharlene before Mind Shift?
Oh, I was a screaming mess, to be quite honest, but I didn't know that I was. It wasn't until reflection that I realized how deep down the rabbit hole I'd actually crawled. It wasn't until that night that I really started to begin to see that I needed to have a close look at where I was and how my life had panned out. I don't know, it sort of happens one step at a time, and we are in a different destination. We're living a different life. We've got different habits, different behaviors, different language, different thoughts, and they don't all happen at the same time. It happens gradually until one day we open our eyes and we look in the mirror and we don't even know who we are. So at that point, I was a hoarder. And not just a little hoarder, we're talking 33 cubic meters of stuff. They do television shows about that level of hoarding. And an alcoholic for 30 years. And I really didn't know that it was that much of a problem. I just thought I drank a bit. But by that stage, I was drinking 5 bottles a day and starting mostly at 10 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, OCD to the point of self-harm, ADHD to the point of total distraction, and really obesely overweight. So I had lots of complex health issues as well that I was ignoring.
Take us back to when everything changed. When, as a mom, I cannot even begin to imagine the type of loss that you've had. Take us back to how your life had taken that change, and the fact that it's obviously things will never be the same.
Thank you. And, you know, every single time I talk about this, it still affects me the same way. I'd like to take us back, if it's okay, listeners to and viewers, to the night that it happened, September 2011. You know, it still seems like yesterday, but it is a long time ago. And yeah, I'd come home early from a birthday party and I was a little bit sober. And I was pretty proud of myself that I was a little bit sober because I ordinarily wasn't. And that's the night that everything changed. That's the night. I wanted to let my son, my 17-year-old baby boy, I still called him a baby, even though he was bigger than me, 6'2", verging on 6'3". And I wanted to let him know that I was home and also express my excitedness that I was sort of sober. And yeah, knocked on his door and he didn't answer. He didn't answer, which was unusual.
And when that had happened, what what transpired next? When did you know that something was wrong?
So, you know, retrospectively, even before we got home, I knew there was something wrong, but I had buried it really deep in my subconscious. And it wasn't until I unpacked it much later down the track, when I was in a better state of mind, that I realized that I knew there was something wrong earlier on the drive home. But after trying to get his attention and, you know, couldn't get his attention, he wasn't answering the door. And I tried the door and the door was locked. And so we didn't lock doors in the house. So for that was the very first alarm. The door is locked. That's really strange. He's not answering the door. So I thought maybe he's wearing his earphones, like, you know, he's a bit of a gamer. So he'd wear earphones. And I figured that he was playing on his computer. So I asked my partner to then go around the outside of the house and see if you can look through the window and get his attention. Knock on the window, and make sure everything's okay. Yeah, because at this stage I was already a little bit concerned. So I positioned myself in the laundry so that I could look out and I would be able to see my partner looking through the window, but I couldn't look around far enough to see my son. And that's when I knew there was something severely wrong, because the look on my partner's face, the blood ran out of his face. I could not see what he could see, but I could see that it wasn't okay. So that's when I ran to my son's door, and I don't even know where the strength came from, but I kicked the door down. And that's when I found my baby boy, my 17-year-old baby boy, had hung himself on the back of the door. And I'd tried for 15 long minutes to bring him back to life, all while praying that a miracle would occur.
How did and I'm so sorry about that. How did you move through those steps? What got you through those immediate steps to then get help and process what had happened?
Yeah. So there was a series of things that happened on that night and within a space of 24 hours that able to propel me to move forward. But when the ambulance officers arrived, they worked on him for a while, for another 15 minutes. And that entire time, I was still praying that they would be able to do what I wasn't able to do. And that's when it happened. That's when the very first thing happened. My answers to my prayers were one word, and that word was forgive. So I thought everybody could hear it, but apparently I was the only person in the room that heard the word. And the ambulance officers asked, did I want to come in and say my goodbyes to my son? And I did. I went and I lied down on the ground, and because, you know, 6'2", I lied down on the ground and I put my head on his chest and I said, Mummy forgives you and I love you. And that was it. That was the very first step, is me being able to forgive him for his choice. So what I was then doing is I was now healing at the speed of love. So, but I didn't know this until down the track when I'd unpacked it. And so that very first step of being in that space of forgiveness had transitioned me into a different frequency. So later on that night, so in Australia, when there's a death, and specifically when there's a suicide or any death, police officers come. It's part of what happens here. So the police officers were interviewing everybody that was in the house, and I'm sitting in the couch, like staring at my giant cup of coffee that's now going cold, and I said out loud, I'm not just going to survive this, I'm going to thrive through this. So that was the second thing. I made a decision that I was going to have a different outcome. The challenge is, I didn't even know what thriving looked like, but I'd made the decision. And look, people that are listening and watching today, can I just really underline how important a decision is? Like, even the etymology of the word means to cut off and kill all other options. When you think about it, suicide, pesticide, it means to cut off and kill. And we need to live in a world where we can make a decision. And I feel, as a recovered hoarder, that was a lot of my challenge, is that I wasn't able to make decisions about the things that were in my environment. So I didn't make a decision. And then I was weighed down by years and years of indecision. So, this show is all about being healthy. That's a decision. Yeah, we need to cut off and kill other options and make that decision. So that was the second thing that happened. First, the forgiveness that allowed me to heal at the speed of love, then the decision, even though I didn't know what the outcome was. And then the third thing was shifting my frequency. So I'm a woman of faith, and I get it. Gratitude makes a huge difference. Yeah, giving thanks. So the next day, what I was able to do was to pen to paper, start writing out the things that I was thankful for. Now, retrospectively, looking back, I've figured out what that did is shift my frequency. It shifted my thought process. And instead of going from the poor me and being the victim, it allowed me to see, you know what, even though this is the worst day of my life, I've still got something to be thankful for.
What gave you the courage to navigate through your grief? Because when with tremendous loss, many people get stuck and they feel like it just feels like such a weighted feeling that the enormity of a tragic loss can be over consuming. So what were some things in that moment that you recall that really helped you to at least take another step forward and another step forward and just kind of keep going?
Yeah, so everything is definitely baby steps. So it only really needs to be 1% at a time. So 1%, we're only talking about just one step. Like, for one day, it was just me getting out of bed because I wasn't in a space. And not every day was rosy, but the things that I did on a daily basis helped me move forward. Being in a state of forgiveness, I was instantly able to forgive my son. It took me a lot longer to forgive myself. And so, still sometimes mother guilt, it's a thing. Yeah. So remembering to forgive myself, forgive others, and remembering to hold fast on that decision to move forward, even though I didn't know what it looked like. And then daily practices of gratitude. Now, on the days that weren't amazing, I reached out to others and had beautiful conversations. Yes, and what I did notice from the day one, from the very first day, that because I had gone through the process of forgiveness, others were coming to me for assistance instead of the other way around. And that's when I knew, you know what, I might be onto something here, because other people who would ordinarily be consoling me through this are coming to me for consultation. Yeah, but great question. Thank you.
it that's bravery that you had taken the steps from your past chapters where you talked about the hoarding and you talked about the alcoholism and all of that. How, in looking back, what would you say, what was the mindset, what was your frame of thinking that kept you stuck then that changed going forward?
Okay. So I think that like a fish doesn't know water. Yeah. I don't think that we see our environments for all that they are. I don't think we see our behaviors, our patterns, our thoughts, our languages. I don't even think that we see our proximity, our friends and family, because we're looking through everything through rosy colored glasses and we don't really stop to look. So it was the process of staying in that space of gratitude about the things that I was grateful for, also let me really dive into, oh, there are some things that I'm not so grateful for. And then I was able to then start making a list. So I became that girl that had a list. So that night, when I started, well, actually the next day when I got that spiral bound book out and started writing down the things that I was grateful for, everyone around me started to call that book my brain, because there was so much happening to get organized for a funeral. Who do you call? What do you do? Like, you do not ever expect to have to host a funeral for your child. Yes, your parents. I'm 60, so yes, your parents, but not your child. So just even all of that process was like that. That literally floored me. But that book, after starting to write down all of those things I was grateful for, and I still do this on a daily basis, the next thing I started to do was to write down what I did want my life to look like. And that was a huge list. That took up most of the rest of the book, because I hadn't realized that I'd crafted a life that didn't support me, but I'd done it one step at a time. So it snuck up on me. It wasn't until I stopped and reflected and had a level of awareness around what's happening that I realized, you are an alcoholic. You're drinking 5 bottles a day. Yeah. So it was definitely in and around a level of awareness and crafting out what I did want my life to look like. I had no idea how I was going to get there, but I'd made a decision. I wanted a different outcome, and I was very firm about what I wanted the life to look like.
What was the most surprising thing that came out of you truly redefining yourself that maybe you didn't see coming? What were some outcomes that surprised you on top of stepping away from hoarding and stepping away from drinking alcohol? What were some surprises that came out of the next chapters?
Oh, one that I find challenging to talk about is in and around the friends, the people that were in my proximity. So I have lost some friends and family through this process of my evolution. Looking back now, I can say with a level of grace, it's that change meets resistance. Yeah. So when we change, it makes other people feel uncomfortable. And they resist that because they like you just the way you are. You fit into their world. You are not a mirror on what's happening for them in their life. So for me, I was really surprised by the shift in my proximity, by my friends and my family who've chosen that this iteration, this elevation, this me is not a good fit for them, and I had to be okay with that. And that's the thing that really took me by surprise. Is yeah. Thank you for asking. A difficult question to answer, but it's challenging.
I think a lot of people do. There are people out there who struggle with maintaining family dynamics or, relationships where they're evolving and then others around them are not. And even tougher are family members where they're relatives. And so then we're taught by society, well, that's your family. And so what do you say to that?
Yeah. So you've got to be authentic. You've got to be you. You've got to choose your path. And the challenge is, because family is tribal, me coming out and saying I was an alcoholic, like that was like they drank more than me. So it's like, what do you think? You're an alcoholic? You're not an alcoholic. In fact, I had friends go, you're not an alcoholic. What are you talking about? You just have a few wines. So it was, and the hoarding as well. Oh, you're not a hoarder. Yeah, so it was when I came out and I labeled myself as my particular challenges, and I labeled myself first and then I transitioned. Yes. So the level of awareness, these are the things that aren't working. Okay, I'm now going to start working on them. And I'd love the audience to know that it didn't all happen overnight. It was a gradual progression, one step at a time, one challenge at a time. So I focused on one challenge at a time. And if I look at my chronology of what's happened to me since the passing of my son, is like every year there's another milestone of things that I've been able to move away from. But as a woman who's ADHD and also OCD, is that I wanted to do it all at the same time, and then all I was doing is setting myself up for failure. So one step at a time, and just release with grace the people that no longer fit into the new version of who you are, and they are doing the best that they can with what they have at that time.
We've got a lot more to cover, including Charlene's mind shift process. First, we've got to take a break. Stay right there.
So in the calm bag, it has GABA, theanine, and taurine. So theanine, which is B1, which is also in our B complex, but it also helps with the stress response levels. It also helps with the neurological transmitters in our brain. Combined with the GABA, and then you add taurine to it. Taurine is a non-essential amino acid in our body, but it's found in our heart, our brain, and our eyes. So in my personal opinion, it's very essential in our lives. But taurine has a calming effect as well. When I was battling all my AFib issues, I was taking high doses of taurine because that would help with my AFib. It would help with the palpitations I was having. And it also helped with the anxiety of having the palpitations because I knew what was going on, and so taurine helps a lot with that as well. So those three together create such a wonderful concoction that just really just calms people down.
Introducing Launchpad, the perfect partner to help you launch your dream project to the world. We know that time is of the essence, and we're here to help you make the most of it. With Launchpad, you'll get access to the most advanced digital tools and strategies to take your idea from a mere concept to a fully fledged success. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned pro, we have everything you need to make your mark in the world. Launchpad, your ultimate launch partner.
Welcome back, everybody. Our guest today, Sharlene Lynch. She's an international speaker. She is a thought leader. We are talking about how she lost her son, but she changed the world. And we are learning the different process, the mind shift process, to allow us to move from something that has perhaps changed the trajectory in our lives. And Sharlene, before the break, you touched on a few areas that I thought were very poignant, and I just want to reemphasize them one more time. You talked about forgiveness. You talked about the decision, making a decision, and then you talked about gratitude. Take us through what allows that process to be as seamless as possible.
It wasn't so seamless. And it definitely wasn't intentional. So one step had to be before the other. So shifting my frequency by having that space of forgiveness allowed me to heal faster. Making the decision, absolutely, was the very next thing that had to happen. But we need all of them to happen. And then to shift my frequency even further into that space of gratitude. Look, gratitude has a really high frequency, 540 hertz. So it's right up there with joy and love. And if we can hold our space, if we can hold ourselves in that space of frequency of gratitude, more often than not, then we get into flow. And I love that. So I've got daily practices of gratitude. But that book that I was talking about, the spiral bound book that I was writing everything down, is after I started writing down that list of what I wanted my life to look like, then I had to go back and have a look at, OMG, that's where my life is. That's where I want it to go. Now I've got a roadmap. Now I can actually see, okay, this is the list of things that need to change. So then the next list I wrote was a very concise list of things that needed to change. And it was a huge list. And I did try to do it, all at the same time. That was a fail. So then I just choose baby steps, to be kind, give grace to myself, and just do baby steps, one thing at a time. And then what I noticed is that there was a pattern of behavior, and there was a sequence happening here, and I was started journaling on that. And then in hindsight, down the track, I could unpack that, and that became the shift process. But great question.
And some people are stuck, and I'm just wondering, is there a certain navigation in feelings that has to also take place in order for those 3 steps to occur?
You know what I'd like to do? I'd love to dive into the shift process, if that's okay. So
Yes.
shift is an acronym. Shift is an acronym, and it stands for the steps. But what I want to underpin this with is that up until this point, I had understood that it's my mindset that's stopping me move forward. You've got to change your mindset. But you know what? Our minds are not set. They're malleable. So how about we change it from mindset and call it mind shift? And that's like things started to unpack differently. And so the acronym shift, the first letter is to see the big picture. Yes.
We're going to go ahead and pull this up for our audience. So S stands for
See the big picture.
Okay.
So here's the challenge. As a woman who is neurodiverse, or we like to say neurospicy, ADHD, OCD, and totally dyslexic, so all of these yummy things that I am, then what was the challenge was everyone else's therapies were going to be, where are you right now? Let's have a look at where you are right now and let's unpack that. Well, I can tell you every time I looked at that, it filled my heart with sorrow, and I was so uncomfortable, low frequency, blame, shame, and guilt, feeling I can't do this. I'm just like, I'm so thick in the thickness of it. Yeah. So what I did is I shifted it, and that list of what I wanted my life to look like became the see the big picture. And so now I had an aspirational goal, which was high frequency to move towards. I wanted to live in a beautiful house, think house and garden. I wanted to, be in a relationship where I was happily married, because at that point I wasn't married, I was just engaged. I wanted to be a different size, a different shape. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to be able to think clearly because I wasn't thinking very clearly. I wanted to be surrounded by people that really loved me and respected me. I wanted to make a difference, even though I was barely surviving myself. I wanted to make a difference of what to other people, to pay it forward. So I got very, very specific about what I want to do to see the big picture. Now, this is for everybody. So what is your big picture? What is possible for you? And when I speak to people time and time again, I see that they're not seeing a big picture of what's possible for them. Regardless of how mucked up you think you are, if you could see a big picture of what's possible for your life, then everything becomes possible. And now you've got an aspirational goal. So think vision boards, think all of the things that we know how to do, that we need to lean into that space of see the big picture. Yeah, I love it. And this is really relevant too in fitness. What do you want to look like? What do you want to weigh? Like, all of those questions are very important because that's setting our goal to move forward.
And I love what you're saying, because it at least it challenges you to think beyond what is happening right now. So being able to make that connection to that future picture, seeing the big picture, that at least now there's that tie-in. And so getting from here to there, and so at least you're seeing the connecting the dots. So I do think that's pretty powerful.
Yes. And so this is why the whole shift process resonates, because even if we're talking about kids in school, we're talking about corporations, pick an industry. If we could start our move, our shift forward by seeing what's possible rather than seeing what's wrong. So as a person with mental health issues, the challenge always was when counselors, when group therapy, because, I did it all. It was, what was wrong with you? Not what was right with you, or what did you want your life to look like? So setting that high frequency to where you want to go was really made the huge difference. Now, the next step is H. So the next step is to hone in on reality. Now, this is where all other therapies start. They start with an analysis of where you are, fill in the form, let's do all of this. But you know what? Every time I did that, I got depressed. I got sad. I took steps backwards rather than steps forward. But now having a big vision of what's possible for my life, okay, now I can hone in on reality. Now I can look at what help do I need? And I did need to do group therapy. I did need to get a counselor. And unfortunately, most of the doctors in Australia wanted to give me prescription drugs, and I just kept saying no because I'd already recognized that I had a very addictive personality. And you know what? That was not going to end well. So I've transitioned from where I was to where I am with no additional prescriptions. Everything I've done is through using my own brain chemistry. Yeah, and understanding that the things that I was eating, consuming, they were actually affecting my brain chemistry as well. So honing on reality is definitely where you need a coach or a mentor. It's definitely where you need to reach out and get other assistance. This might be where you need, if you're a corporation, you might need someone to come in and analyze what's happening inside of our business, because this is what I know, whether it's personal or business, we can't see the trees for the forest. Because like me, I was surrounded by everything and I couldn't see how bad things I'd become and my proximity had become. I didn't know. I didn't know. So that's hone in on reality. Tough step. Yes, it needs to be done. And when I journaled this out, this is when I really realized, OMG, I actually need help here and I need a lot of it. So bring it on. I
Well,
love
you
it.
know what I love, how you so eloquently painted that picture is that you weren't afraid to take accountability and just see and read the room. You were reading your own room. And oftentimes there are people who struggle to do that because they perceive that as it's too painful of a process. I can't possibly just, and so there's that level of deflection and delaying of healing, delaying of getting on with getting to a better place and moving beyond where the fork in the road was.
Yes, absolutely. And just being kind to myself, understanding that only has to be one step forward. And you know what? Sometimes it's going to be two steps back. So one of the processes I was going through, clearing clutter for clarity, right? This was the process of decluttering. And sometimes I would make more mess than I would be tidying it up. But I needed to, sometimes we've got to, what do they say? Break a few eggs to make an omelette. Sometimes it has to get messier before it can get better. And what we need to do is reach back to see the big picture of what's possible to how to move forward. So yeah, I know on many of my weight loss journeys, sometimes I've actually put on a bit of weight and then I've lost it. So like it's fascinating when we go through and we change these things. I love it. And as you know, there's usually pain when you're getting fit. So you gotta work through the pain. I love it. So that brings us to the next letter. And the next letter is I. So the next letter in shift is I, and I is implement quick wins. Now I have to say this is possibly my favorite step, because this is where I was really able to understand how brain chemistry is affecting me and how I can control my own outcome by controlling my own brain chemistry. So implement quick wins. So the very first quick win was that night, that this is tea, this is not coffee, but I'm holding this up so you can see this is the size of my cups of coffee I used to drink. So not little cups, 600 mils.
Oh,
And
that's a big cup.
that's a huge cup, like that's a mega cup. And I was drinking 8 coffees a day. Now, when you drink 5 bottles of wine, you need 8 cups of coffee to balance. It's a
Wow.
balancing act, yeah? So I didn't even know how bad it was. I didn't even know how bad the coffee addiction was. But that night, as I was staring at my giant cup of coffee, which was then going cold, I didn't drink that coffee. I didn't drink that coffee. And I haven't drank coffee since. But it wasn't until I unpacked, you know what? If I can give up coffee, maybe I can give up alcohol. So what happens is every time we implement a quick win, we give ourselves a serotonin hit and we let ourselves believe that other change is possible. So what micro steps, what 1%, what tiny things can you do towards your outcome?
That's incredible, and that's true. I think the almost like micro milestones where you're just it becomes consistent with that effort, and I love how I love how you portray that and how you explain that in detail.
I love it. I love it. Now that brings us to the next one, which is F. And F is to focus on the patterns. And you know what? This is probably where I lost a lot of friends and family because there were a lot of patterns. Now, how I found the patterns is journaling. Yeah. So I still journal every day. I was journaling at that point in time. I hadn't been journaling specifically before that, before Scott's passing, but after that, it became my best friend. It became a confidant. It became where I could just be me and talk. And so what I noticed is when I was journaling, I could start to see the patterns. Boy, there's a pattern here with your language, Sharlene. You know what, Sharlene? There's a pattern here with your behavior. So the patterns started to emerge from the paper. I could literally see them. And this is when I started to notice that it's not just my patterns, it's also family patterns. So I remember one day sitting down having a cup of tea with my mum and saying, you know, Mum, you know, I want to talk about this. Now that Scott's passed away, I want to talk about that I had a moment when I was 38 where I felt the same way. And Mum goes, oh, do you know, I was 38. So she's talking about herself. I was 38 when I had my breakdown. And that's when she left home. So my mother left home at 38. Yeah. Left us. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Wow, all right, that's a pattern. And then we both look at each other and Mum's got this look on her face. Her face goes white. She goes, oh, that's how old Nana was when she committed suicide. So like there are family patterns, but what the challenge is that we don't talk about them. We don't have the conversations. We keep them secret. So focusing on the patterns is not just our own patterns, it's also the patterns of our family. And in order to have those, we have to have conversation. Yes. And sometimes we don't, we tuck these things under the cover. And also for those who believe it could also be past life patterns, but we're not going to discuss that today. That's a different conversation. So we have to focus on the patterns. There are patterns of behavior everywhere, whether they're patterns of thought or language, but we need to focus on the patterns because that's how we're going to learn. That's how we're going to break the patterns to be able to move forward.
That's incredible, and you're absolutely right. It's that cycle, and you know, I had no idea that was a family cycle, something that was repeating itself or perpetually repeating in your family, and so it takes courage to break through cycles where there's more of a comfort zone than anything else.
Yeah, but we have these patterns of behavior not just in family, we have them in our own behavior. So, you know, I noticed, it wasn't until I started journaling that I realized, you know what, I'm dating a new guy and my relationships only last 2 years. Like my bandwidth is 2 years. Like what's that about? Yeah. So like there was things when I started looking at patterns, it wasn't just me, it was other things outside of that as well. How long I would have, run a business for, or how long I would have a friendship cycle for. So there were other things that were coming out when I was diving into focusing in on the patterns. And that brings us to the last letter, and that's T. Yeah. So T is to take massive actions. So you know what? It should be take massive imperfect action, because I am a recovering perfectionist, and I wouldn't take a move, I wouldn't make a move unless it was perfect. So I would be like a deer in headlights, just looking at things or waiting for the perfect time to make the change. But we need to take action. And this is one of the biggest challenges in fitness, in entrepreneurs, is that we don't take action. We wait for all the stars to align, for the I's to be dotted and the T's to be crossed, but we need to take action. This is what I know, transitioning from where I was to where I am now, is that sometimes I did go backwards, but as long as I was heading in the right direction. So if you think about it, if you're walking, you can pick up your foot and place it in a different direction and adjust and shift and change how it is that you're getting to the outcome. Yeah. But if you're standing still, there's nowhere to go. Yeah. So it's better to correct than it is to not get the outcome that you're looking for. So I have made a life of failing forward. Yeah. And being okay with that. Trying different therapies to see if they work. Trying different thought processes, different languages to see if they work. And if they don't, that's okay. Giving myself the grace to go, you know what? Let's just keep trying. And so it's been the taking action, and I do this to myself now. So I'm a recovering procrastinator as well. So that's part of the whole neurospiciness. And so I do this thing, and I'm telling you, I did this before Mel Robbins, just saying. So my mum used to say, Charlene, I'll give you to the count of 3. And she'd start counting. Now, as I'm a recovering people pleaser as well, before she'd get to 3, I'd take action. So I just used that programming that I already had to get myself to do things. I will do it all the time. In fact, I did it this morning because we had an early start. Charlene, give you to the count of 3. And I was up and at it and doing the things I needed to be doing. So yeah, I still use it to this day. But whatever it is that I need, whatever tools and techniques that I need to get myself to move forward and take that massive action.
Shift is pretty powerful, and I know this is powerful stuff for our audience too, and myself as well, to take in. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We are coming back. Stay right there.
Welcome to Renew Laser and Skincare, where beauty meets technology. From laser hair removal and anti-aging treatments to facial sculpting, acne care, and injectables, our expert team helps you look and feel your best with customized, results-driven care. Located in Littleton, Colorado, we offer a comfortable, welcoming space and cutting-edge treatments tailored just for you. Visit renewlaserandskincare.com to book your transformation today. Renew Laser and Skincare, where confidence begins.
Hi, I'm Adriana, and welcome to Fit Bites. Today I want to have an important conversation with women in their late 30s and early 40s. It's time to start talking about hormone health, perimenopause, and menopause with your healthcare provider. Now, the median age for menopause is 51, but new research shows that perimenopause, when hormonal levels begin to shift, can start 10 to 15 years earlier. This is new data. That means symptoms like fatigue, mood swings, weight changes, irregular cycles could already be affecting your life without a clear diagnosis. The reality is, many doctors haven't been fully trained on the ever-changing data surrounding menopause and perimenopause. They may not have all the answers right away, but a good doctor will listen, learn, and point you in the right direction. That's why it's so important to use your voice and advocate for yourself. When you meet with your doctor, ask direct questions like, how do you treat menopause patients? And what is the first step to explore my symptoms? Be firm and confident. You're not asking for permission. You're seeking solutions and answers about your own body. Remember, it is 2025 and the science is evolving quickly. What we know about menopause a decade ago is no longer the full picture. It's okay to push for the latest information and options that fit your needs. If one doctor doesn't provide the support you deserve, do not hesitate to seek the opinions of another doctor. Your health journey is unique, and you deserve a provider who listens, learns, and partners with you. Start the conversation today and gain control of your well-being. So ladies, stay informed, stay empowered, and stay tuned for more Fit Bites with Adriana. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're spending quality time with our guest, Sharlene Lynch. She is an international speaker and a thought leader. And before the break, we started going into the step-by-step process of mind shift. Now, I'm curious, Sharlene, there are, you're getting your message out and you have the opportunity to speak to different groups, and so you have things coming up. What are some things where can we expect you to be sharing your voice? I want to start there. How are you getting your message across, all of that?
Oh, well, Sharlene Lynch, spelled with an S because I'm Irish descent. So Sharlene Lynch, I'm on every platform. And I've got a large digital footprint, and also you can find me on my website as well, Sharlene Lynch, spelled Irish way with an S. I know, in America you spell it with a C, but that's okay.
Sometimes we do. Yes, there are some ladies who spell it that way for sure. I know that we have one slide that we want to share with our viewing audience about an upcoming event. You have the Expert Authority Masterclass. Can you talk a little bit about this and what does it entail and what are some goodies that are part of this event?
Yeah, this is my favorite masterclass. I run it on a monthly basis. After I realized the level of success that I had unpacking my intellectual property and crafting visual models, it took my speaking career from, speaking for free to speaking to $2,000 and then speaking for $6,000 and $8,000. Like the huge jump was having your own intellectual property, something that you can trademark, something that you can call your own, something that makes you uniquely gifted to move forward. Is during COVID, I realized, you know what? I've got friends around me, speakers around me that need this level of assistance. And then it became a thing. And now I help corporations, councils, and speakers, coaches, mentors, and a lot of wellness practitioners unpack the genius that's inside of their brain, make sense of it, which I'm uniquely able to do because when you're dyslexic, you see images when people speak. So I see the images that relate to how it is that they're speaking, and we craft visual models. So on a monthly basis, I run a masterclass for speakers, coaches, wellness practitioners to unpack their intellectual property and see what that could look like when they craft them into visual models. So you use this as a speaker. You also use this as the core of your coaching program, your next book as well. And on every level, it just is a wonderful experience to have that out of you and have it visually represented as well. So yes, that QR code will get you to the latest link to come and join us.
And what's been your favorite outcome out of hosting and creating Expert Authority Masterclass?
Well, connection with some amazing people, and many of them have come along and now work with me either as a VIP or in one of my group intensives. And just to see these people take larger stages, to see them get TED Talks, to see them now, going for their very first VIP $20,000 client, like just the shift in their level of confidence when they've got it all laid out in visual models. It is that thing that makes the difference because it is a visual representation of the genius that's already inside of them. So for me now, having done the journey, it's watching others now step onto the platform, and I'm living vicariously through what they're doing. I just love the messages on a daily basis from clients about the magical things that they're doing.
Now, is this international? Is it anyone from anywhere with the Wi-Fi that can be a part of this?
Yeah, great question. Yes, and actually we had one yesterday. We had people from Ghana there. I don't know how they got the link, but anyway, we had people that was 3 o'clock in the morning for the people in the UK. So yes, we have an international crowd that meets us, but the times are actually okay for the States because I have a lot of clients in the States and in Canada.
And I also want to highlight, we've got another slide here just emphasizing what are some elements that you have on your website that viewers can expect wanting to.
Yeah. Yeah, look, there's always what we're up to, what's happening, and also you can find that on the socials as well, and always freebies that you can get hold of, and lots of freebies on the YouTube channel as well. But everything that I share is in around mind shift, the future of mindset, my story, how I transitioned, how I became a speaker through sharing this process, and then also around designing your own visual models. What does that look like for you to stand in that space and move forward with that? I love it. I'm living life on purpose. It's been a great opportunity for me to find my voice. I now run a charity as well, and we've just received an award for a Global Peace Ambassador, and all of that's come from mastering the art of communication for influence and authority and having this one piece of IP that's been able to project me forward.
That's fantastic news. Congratulations. That's amazing. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Stay right there. We're coming right back. Welcome back, everybody. We've been spending time with Sharlene Lynch. We are excited to have her here today, international speaker and thought leader. Sharlene, I just want, as we're gonna run through all of your website and social media handles here for our viewing audience to see. My question to you is, what kind of message, what kind of legacy do you wish to leave in the world?
I want everybody to know that you've got this. You are designed this way. You've got it already inside of you. We just need to shift our thoughts, shift our language, because really, our mind is not set. It's malleable. Let's shift our language to mind shift, the future of mindset.
And what do you have going on for the remainder of 2025 going to 2026? What do you have your sights set on?
So many exciting things. So our beautiful charity, Healing Through Love, has now expanded globally, and now we're running regular training programs teaching others how to host pamper days for survivors of family and domestic violence. I've got lots of speaking gigs coming up. I'm hopefully going to get to the States too, so very soon. So waiting for information on that, and have to come and say hello when I'm there. And yeah, there's lots of exciting things happening. Our group intensives for unpacking the visual models, we've got great demand and people want to have them more regularly. So we're just trying to see if we've got the infrastructure to run them more regularly and still actually get out there and speak and meet people as well. Because I like the human contact. And that's actually where I'm off to next, actually, to actually an in-person event. So I do really love them.
Fantastic. Well, it's been incredible to spend time with you today. You've got such a powerful story and you're such a huge inspiration. Sharlene Lynch, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for our viewers, of course, we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. We appreciate their support. Biomed Mobile IV, Dapper No Code, Launchpad, Renew Laser and Skincare, and Synergize Fitness. We're also on the web as well. You can find us on thehealthrevolutiontv.com. There you can sign up for our newsletter. You can email us with any show episode ideas that you may like for us to cover. In the corner of your screen is our QR code. And as a friendly reminder, you can find us and depend on us to be there for you every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on the Arion TV channel, on E360 TV, and the ever-expanding hubs that you will find our show on. That's all the time that we have for today. Until next time, take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon.